It's literally 3 a.m. right now. You guys have no idea how long I've actually been wanting to do this, how long I've been talking about it, how long I've been planning this, and just how hard I've even worked to put this out. Because by the time you guys are watching this, obviously I've already done all the editing. I've already done everything that I had to do in order to get this out there. So I really appreciate you guys being here. I'm literally shooting this at around 3 a.m. The exact time is now 3:15 because what else is there to do at 3:15 in the morning, right? I'm literally shooting this in my apartment building. This is literally my living room. It's not a bad setup, eh? As you guys can tell, I really am tired, but I appreciate you guys being here. I really do appreciate the support. I appreciate you guys even just tuning in, whether you guys heard about this through me, whether you guys heard about this with somebody else, or just happen to come across this. Regardless, I do appreciate you guys tuning in. Now, before you guys click away, before you guys tune into anything else, if you don't know me personally and you're wondering, well, what the hell do I care what this guy has to say? Let me give you a really quick rundown as to who I am and what this is. My name is Luis Sanchez. I am from the San Fernando Valley out here in LA. I am 26 years old and I have been wanting to start this podcast, which is now titled Prospects and Potential. Now, the purpose of this podcast is for me to be able to share my stories, but also share other people's stories on here because I do believe in empowering others. These past couple years have been really eye-opening for me, and I have decided to make a lot of changes in my life. And I do believe that all successes should be celebrated. I do genuinely believe that even little steps in our lives should be celebrated, and that's what I want to do on here in this platform. I do want to reach out to others. I do want to, like I said, share my point of view and just offer what I know so far. You know, I don't have the answer to everything in life, but I feel like I do have some pretty good insight to share with you guys. I do want to reach as many people as possible with this podcast, and who knows where it'll take us. You know, eventually we might grow a really big community in which we just empower others and we just share our successes and support. Now, this isn't going to be just me talking motivational speaking or anything like that. It is going to be, like I said, a lot of storytelling. I am going to be having guests on here. I am going to be sharing stories from the common folk who happen to be my friends and my colleagues, you know, because I do feel those stories are also a little bit more relatable than if I were to bring in, you know, Samuel Jackson. Or who's more relatable, me or The Rock? You get me? Again, if you don't know me personally, I do want to share a little bit about myself. Now, I am 26 years old. I am just now starting this podcast, even though I've been wanting to start this podcast since I was about 20 years old. Now, the reason why I never did is because I had just fallen into a long period of conformity. I was actually working at a gym. Well, I still work at the gym, but we'll get to that in a second. But I was working for a commercial gym, which I will not be saying the name of because I do not want to get into any legal trouble. Not to talk about the gym. I'm not even here to badmouth the gym. It's just simply something that I outgrew and I no longer wanted to be such a huge part of. I was working at the gym since 2016, if I'm not mistaken. That's a really long time. Started off as just a crew member. I literally did everything at that gym, a little bit of everything. I was a trainer at one point. I worked my way up to supervisor, assistant manager, and then subsequently I became the general manager of a new location that just opened up last year. So I was working at a location out in Burbank, and then we moved on to a new location in North Hollywood, which is where I was originally living with my mom. I became a general manager and I was managing the gym for about a year. And then eventually, like I said, I just felt like I had given the company enough of my time. So I did decide to step down. Now, I haven't quit. I did decide to step down and I am now an assistant manager there. So I actually am going to be bringing on later on in this episode the person who happened to take over my position, and she is also one of my closest friends. I absolutely love her to death, so she will be coming on here and helping me with this very first episode and also sharing her point of view on some things. Like I said, still work there, but I have also reduced my hours significantly, which is why I had to step down from the position because I am finally pursuing my dreams. I am here in LA, and I know it's very cliche, but I am looking to get into the entertainment business. So I am, aside from this, also pursuing acting, which is what I am now implementing all my time in. Now, like I said, at the ripe age of 26 years old, I finally decided to start making some changes to my life. And one of the changes that I made was to move into this apartment here, which is where I am filming all of this, and I finally have my own space to work on the things that I want to work on and just have a space to actually focus. I was living with my mom up until recently, up until last October. I was living with my mom. I absolutely love my mom to death, and she is the best mom I could have ever asked to have. But I just felt like it was time for me to, spread my wings, venture on to do my own thing. So here I am. This has allowed me to actually focus a lot more, like I said, which is what I wanted. So I feel like I am slowly but surely making progress. So hopefully you guys can accompany me on this journey and see how much we can progress. And again, I do hope to add a lot of value to you guys, and I do promise it'll be fun. Okay, so I will be bringing on the person who, like I said, actually took over my position and now happens to be my boss. She is a lot younger than me, but somebody had to take charge, right? So she actually took over the position. She is now my boss, one of my closest friends. I absolutely love her to death. So stick around and welcome to the show. Hey everyone. So as promised, I am here with my good friend Kaylee.
Say hi, everyone.
How are you today, Kaylee?
Good. Sleepy. How are you, Luis?
Same. We're shooting this at around 8 a.m., which to both of us, that sounds about like 5 a.m. So bear with us. We're going to do our best. Kaylee here is the person that I mentioned to you guys, who is one of my closest friends, but is also now my manager. Funny enough, she's about half my age. She's about half my size, but she is the person in charge of me at work. So what do you have to say about work, Kaylee?
Well, first of all, I don't think I'm half his size, but I would say I'm half his age. Just for a little background, I am 19. But at work, I feel like it's a little harder, especially because I am 19, to gain a lot of the respect of people. But I do feel like it was a lot easier because I don't know if you mentioned, but he used to be the manager, and I'm only in this position because he decided to go pursue his dreams. So now I'm managing a whole gym.
So the reason why I brought Kaylee on here, like I mentioned earlier, so I was the manager. I stepped down. So she was next in line to take over that job. Now, she is very good at her job. Let me start off by saying that she's a great worker, great personality, just an overall very good manager. But she is only 19. Now, like she said, she manages the whole gym. Once again, I don't want to say the name of the gym which we work at, just for
safety reasons.
Yeah, we just don't want to get into any type of legal trouble. But it is a commercial gym, so it's a pretty big gym, So she handles all, not to take over her conversation, but she handles all the scheduling, like disciplinary action, basically running the staff, running the gym, supplies, all that stuff. And she's doing it while also going to school. So the reason why I wanted to bring her on here is to share her story so far, her path into becoming a manager at only 19. Do you feel like you're 19 when you manage?
Yes and no. I feel like I'm 19 in the sense of like nobody forgets that I'm the youngest one working there. But whenever I per se like hire somebody else, they're always like, oh, no way, you're 19. I thought you were like 21, 24. Because I feel like mentally, I guess you can say I'm older. Like mentally I'm older, but at the end of the day, I'm still 19.
And that's another thing, guys. So a lot of things I think have to do with how you present yourself, like how you carry yourself, So obviously, like you can most likely tell by somebody's appearance how old you are, but it also depends on how you carry yourself. Like if you're very, you can be old and be very immature, be very childish. Now, me, myself, I'm very playful. Like I have a very playful personality, but I make sure that I carry myself in a respectful manner. So Kaylee over here is the same exact way, which is why we get along very well. And we'll get into the story about how we met. But like she said, it's all about how you carry yourself. You know what I mean? It's about making sure that you earn your respect in anything that you take part in. Funny enough, when me and Kaylee met, I was the one that interviewed her. That's how we actually met. She came up to the front desk and asked me for a job. What did you think about our interview, Kaylee?
I did not. I literally got back into my mom's car and I was like, I didn't get the job. Like there was no way that I just got this job, just because I felt like it was way too much of like a conversation that I felt like, oh, he didn't take me serious. Like he was just like, whatever. because I found it really funny. I had really mixed emotions. I looked at my mom. I was like, either I like nailed it or he just didn't take me serious and he was just trying to sit down instead of working.
Now, yes. So I do remember the conversation. She remembers. Kaylee has like the memory of an elephant. Like I literally tell her like a random thing on a Tuesday morning, and she will bring that up like 5 months later and remember it vividly. But point is, so you never really know how somebody sees you. See, for example, like the reason why I had a conversation with her during the job interview, it wasn't because I wasn't taking it seriously. It was because of the way she carried herself. You know, because she presented herself in a professional manner that I felt comfortable, you know, going to that level, like having that conversation. And she wasn't sure if she even got the job. So that goes to show you, like, you know, you never really know. There was a, I don't remember where I heard this quote, but it was a very good quote that I heard one time that says, you don't feel your own handshake. And what that means is like, you don't really know how others perceive you. You know what I mean? So that's another reason why I wanted to bring Kaylee on, because I remember that exact conversation. Now, Kaylee was a member at the gym when she first asked me for the job, or when she first asked if we were hiring. I'm sorry. And then from there, when did you start working with us, Kaylee?
In September.
In September. And this was at the old location, which I used to work at that I mentioned. And now she's running the new location in North Hollywood. How do you like working there so far? You've been there for more than a year. How do you like working there so far?
I honestly I really do like it. I really like the environment of the gym. I genuinely feel like I don't wake up and I'm like, oh, I have to go to work. It's like, okay, I have to go to work because I'm there. We get along with everybody, and that's a really good thing too. Like everybody, we have a really good team dynamic. So everybody gets along with everybody. It's mostly all like laughs. And when I'm like stressed out, everybody's like, no, like you're fine. Like, don't worry about it. Like we always got your back, which I feel like is really nice. Because at the end of the day, like I'm still like the manager, you know, like it's all fun and games. But then at the end, I still have to be the manager. So if there's ever problems or anything like that, everybody just comes to me, which I feel like is what stresses me out too.
So that goes to show, for anybody that's in like a toxic work environment, like fuck your job, like quit your job.
Just quit your job. I like straight up, just fuck your manager because they don't care about you. Just quit your job, literally.
Yeah, if anyone knows about like toxic work environments, it's Kaylee.
Oh my god, I have a whole story. Like I've been working since I was 15, and I've literally been through it all. That's why I quit. Yeah, that's what I told you in the interview too. Like you asked me like what you like the least about my previous jobs, and I was like my managers, because it was horrible. Like okay, keep in mind guys, I was 16 when I was working at the place that I was working. I was just about to say the name. Never mind. But I was literally getting like harassed by one of my coworkers. He was like this 40-year-old man, and it was just so weird because he would like touch me, like grab my waist to like pass by, and it was so weird. And on Valentine's Day, he got me like flowers and chocolates, and he mostly spoke Spanish, so he would like hit on me in Spanish, and it was so weird. And I told my manager about it, and she was like, well, it's your fault because you're letting him talk to you. And I was like, okay, no, absolutely not. And then I quit that job. And then at the other job, so I was working 2 jobs at the same time. And at that job, the cook threw sauce at me. And it wasn't even, don't laugh. It wasn't funny. It was like the cook literally threw, so it was like a Chinese food restaurant, like a place. And we keep the sauce to keep it hot, right, in the water. And I went to the back to go pour it into a container to go give it to the customer. And then he threw the container at me. And my hand, it was hot, so it got all over my hand. Yeah. And so on top of that, he didn't speak English, right? So the only words he knew was like, bitch and fuck you. So he was like, bitch, fuck you. And I was like, bitch, fuck you. Like, what the hell? Yeah, it was traumatic. And then I quit both of them. And then I just don't like being without work. So I think like 2 weeks after, that's when I went up to Luis and I was like, hey, do you guys happen to be hiring by any chance? And he was like, yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now. And then he gave me the interview.
Yeah, when she came up to me, I was literally like on the career plug page, like looking for candidates to hire. And she came up to me. So it was just meant to be. So you never know. It's about, right place, right time type of thing. So take your chances. Like we said, like if you're in a toxic work environment, like get the fuck out. Like literally get the fuck out. Like even if you've had multiple experiences with toxic work environments, like get the fuck out. Like, there are better work environments. Now, everyone that works at our gym, or the gym we work at now, I do believe is genuinely happy there. Like, nobody likes going to work. Nobody likes going to work, but nobody comes in stressed to go to work. Nobody leaves exhausted, mentally exhausted, physically exhausted. You know what I mean? Everybody comes in, says hi to everyone. Everyone's hugging each other when they come in, when they leave. You know what I mean? And that includes management. Obviously, like, there's a level of professionalism that you have to keep with your managers. And if you are a manager, no matter how, trust me, no matter how close you are to your staff, always keep a level of professionalism. And I am telling you this from experience. We'll get into the, like, those stories a different day, but trust me, always keep a level of professionalism. I learned that the hard way. So now everything that I do, everything that Kaylee does is with a level of professionalism. But going back to what I was saying about the job, like, fuck your job. Like, for example, the people that work at our gym, that's not their life goal. Like, that's not the end goal right there. You know what I mean? But while you're working, while you're still trying to work on your career, going to school, whatever, like, why add more stress to your life? You know what I mean? Like, why add more tension, more discomfort to your life? Like, life already sucks. Like, life is already uncomfortable enough without putting yourself in a shitty situation. So get yourself out of that shitty situation. Kaylee here is actually one of my biggest, I guess, like, motivators. You know, she was urging me to, like, step down from my position, like, to just quit my job. And it wasn't because she was trying to overtake me. It was because she genuinely saw that I was not happy doing what I was doing, not because I didn't like the work environment, but because I always knew that I wanted to do something else, something like this, or something like I said, I'm pursuing acting. That's what I want to do. She saw how unhappy I was, so she was the one that urged me to get out, right?
Yeah. And it was like, I'd be like, okay, like, let's start doing something. He'd be like, okay, I'm going to start. And I'd be like, okay, when? And he's like, I don't know. And I'd be like, okay. And he'd always set, like, little goals for himself. So I'd always be like, okay, he said in August. And I'd tell him, like, hey, it's August. Like, what are you doing? And he's like, and then he would give me, like, some excuses. And I'd be like, no, like, set another goal for yourself. Like, by this day, you're going to be out. Because, like he said, like, not because I wanted the job. Like, I genuinely did not want to be general manager. Because I was fine being an assistant. Like, yeah, I had responsibilities, but not as much as him. And so I really didn't want to, especially because I was still going to school. And when I became general manager, I was taking 5 classes. So I was taking 5 classes, and I was still working 50 hours a week. And I didn't want to be put in that position, I guess, but I was able to handle it fine. And now, like, he seems a lot happier. Like, he's at work, and he genuinely just feels like a different person, because he kind of felt like the Luis that I met. Because towards the end, he was kind of just like, you can see it in, like, his work ethic. Well, okay, I could see it because I knew him, but the staff probably didn't even notice at all. But yeah, now he looks like a different person. He's happy. Like, he's doing a lot of things with his life, which is, like, I'm proud of him for, just because he's been wanting to do it for such a long time.
Another thing there are many things that I love about Kaylee, but one thing that I really love about Kaylee is she tells me things that I need to hear. You know what I mean? Like, she said, like, I would tell her, like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And I've been saying this for years. Like, I told you guys, I'm 26. I just turned 26. Like, I've been saying this for years, and I just never did anything about it. And she is absolutely right. Like, I was miserable at my job, not because of the job, because I just talked about how good the work environment is, but it was just a drag. It just felt like a drag because I wasn't pursuing my dreams. Like, I had worked for this company for years, and I just felt like I was going nowhere. I felt like I was stuck. We do a lot of customer service there. Like, so we do signups, we do all that stuff. And whenever somebody would come in they're like, oh, I want to take a tour of your facility. Like, I want to get a membership. Like, just hearing that pissed me off, like, pissed me the fuck off. And it was nothing to do with the person. Like, the person did absolutely nothing wrong, but it was just because I had to do more of the same thing that I've been doing for years, and I was just miserable. And we're shooting this on a Saturday. This past Thursday, I was at work, and everyone was coming in, and I just felt so happy talking to people. Like, I just felt so happy talking to people. Like, someone would come in, it was like, I need to sign up for a membership, and I was like, all right, let's make it happen. I took people on a tour. I was just genuinely happy to help people. You know, I even got a good Yelp review out of it because I was helping this lady out. I was just so happy to help people. You know what I mean? So, like she said, just my whole demeanor just completely changed now that I'm actually pursuing stuff that I want to pursue. Let me make sure everything's still recording. So welcome back, everybody. I apologize for that. My phone just completely stopped recording, and we shot about like an hour, but the last 40 minutes did not record at all. So here we are doing it all over again. So bear with us. I genuinely do not know what we were talking about, so I apologize if this doesn't tie into the same topic that we were on previously. But now the reason why I wanted to bring Kaylee on this show is because I wanted to give you guys a different perspective. I wanted to show you guys, have you guys hear things from different people rather than just hearing things from me, you know? So, Kaylee, do you mind telling us a little bit about yourself? You're going to school currently, correct?
Yeah, so right now I'm going to community college. It's my second semester, so last month I put in my applications to transfer. It's funny because my first semester, I guess, I only took like 4 classes, and they were the easiest classes ever, and I failed both of them. I failed 2 out of 4, and I wasn't even working as much. Like, when I first started working, I wasn't really working, but I thought that I was like,
yeah, well, we're gonna have to blur that out because we're not saying the name
damn.
of the gym, but that's okay.
I forgot.
I'm gonna have to learn how to edit like little clips out, but we'll figure that out afterwards. Carry on.
Damn. When I first started working at the gym, I wasn't working that many hours, and I applied for overnight. So I wasn't doing like regular shifts. I was doing overnight shifts, and I don't know why I thought that I could work a 10 to 6 on Sunday and then go to school from 9 to 11 on Monday. And I don't know why I did that to myself, but that was that class that I actually passed, and all the other classes I didn't pass because it was chemistry and communications. And when I took communications online, and when I tell you guys that I could not sit there and record myself. Like, I was like, but at that time I didn't know that was my mistake, that I couldn't sit there and record myself. Like, I couldn't bring myself to just record a video. And it was dumb because I had to, the class isn't dumb, but I had to like do like persuasive speeches or like informative speeches, and I chose to do it like on pandas. And I didn't do it. I didn't turn it in, especially because the professor he was like, it doesn't matter when you turn it in, as long as you turn it in before the last day of the semester. I was like, and I didn't end up turning it in at all. But now that I'm GM and I'm working 50 hours a week, this semester I took 5 classes. So I took 5 classes while working 50 hours a week. And it was the best semester that I had. I got straight A's this semester, which I'm really proud of myself for, which was good because since I failed last semester, I needed to bring up my GPA. And then since I've been so busy, I forgot to apply for my winter classes because I need to take a certain amount of courses to transfer. And I forgot, so that means that next semester I have to take 6 courses, and one of them is a lab, so I'm going to cross my fingers. If not, I can't transfer it, but happy thoughts. Happy thoughts, because if not, I'm not going to be able to transfer.
Very inspirational, very motivational for everybody out there.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Why do you think that this was your best semester, even though you had like so much on your plate? Like, what changed? Did you just take it like more seriously?
Yeah, I did, because in high school, I was like a straight A student, like always. I was always a straight A student. And then I was like, I failed. Like, I failed 2 classes, and my GPA was like a 2 point something. Like,
in high school?
No,
in college.
In college,
okay.
Yeah. And my GPA was like a 2 point something, and I've never had anything less than like a 3.7.
Unacceptable.
I know, and I was like, what am I doing? And it's like, if I want to transfer, like, I don't want to stay here for like 3-4 years and then have to end up transferring just because I don't want to get my shit together, you know? So I don't know. That's when it kind of hit me. Like, it's either like you get your shit together and like you pick one, like you do work or school, or you have to find a way to do both. And I feel like I was able to find a way, because even though it's a lot more stress to be GM, I kind of have like a lot more freedom to be like, hey, I'm going to sleep an extra hour, even though I'm supposed to go in at 9, I'm just going at 10, because who's going to tell me anything? Nobody.
This is my manager right here, ladies and gentlemen. No, yeah, I understand what you're saying. Actually, I don't know if going back, because I don't think this part recorded either, but I was talking about how school is not for everybody. Like, Kaylee knows what she wants to do, so she's going to school. If for anybody going to school out there, if you're going to school and what you want to do requires you to go to school, then go to school, bust your ass, like give it 100%. It will pay off. Like the long nights will pay off, the hard work will pay off, the stress will pay off. But if you do not want to go to school, or if you genuinely feel like you don't need to go to school, there is nothing wrong with that either. I dropped out of college myself. Like I went 2 semesters. Well, I tried college twice. I mean, the first time I went 2 semesters. First semester, straight A's. Second semester, I took a lot of easier classes. And then I decided school was not for me. I went back about a year later, and once again, I decided it was not for me. So don't be ashamed to drop out of school. You know what I mean? If school is not for you. But like I said, if school is for you, if that is what you want to do, then go ahead, bust your ass. If Kaylee can work 50 hours a week while taking 5 classes, then so can you. You know what I mean? What is it that you're going to school for, Kaylee?
Administration of justice. So I either want to be a DA agent, a social worker, or a corrections officer. So those are my top three right now. I just don't want to be a cop, and a lot of them require like for me to be a police officer first, and I don't really want to do that. So I'll see where life takes me, because yeah, like going back to what he said, like you don't necessarily need school, especially in this day and age. Like you can be rich like doing so many other things, like or taking like little programs, like 2-year programs to do like what you really want to do instead of going to school. Because if you start going to school and then you're like, oh, like this isn't for me, I want to take a gap year, but like what you want to do requires you going to school, like you better make sure that that gap year you're gonna get your shit together in that year. Like you're gonna figure out like this is a path that I want to take, or never mind, I'm gonna start doing something else with my life. Because once you stop going to school, it's so hard to go back. Like it's so hard to go back because you are mentally and physically, like if I was to just for like this winter break, I'm not ready to go back to school, because it's just so draining. Like, and it makes me so upset that I have to take like these general ed courses instead of just me doing what like I want to do, take the classes for the things that I want to do. But I mean, it's understandable, but you have to make sure that you know that you're going to go back, or you're going to get your shit together in that 1 year, so that you're not like kind of putting things off. Like I'll do it when I get to it, when I get around, because especially to do anything here, like in California, you need money. Like you need money. So if you stop going to school, you got to go to work. And if you got to go to work, then that's already a less amount of time for you to do the things that you want to do. So you just got to make sure that that's what you want to do.
Yeah, and it's okay to like figure things out. You know what I mean? Like she is 19, figuring out what she knows, the path that she wants to take. Who knows? Maybe a couple years down the line, she'll decide, you know what, this sucks, or this isn't for me, or I don't want to go through this process anymore, and that's fine. You know, like I'm 26, barely doing what it is that I want to do. You know what I mean? So it's okay to fail. Like there are no rules in life. There are no laws in life. You know what I mean? Like go ahead and carve your own story. Like everybody has their own story. Everybody goes through different shit. So, you know, you might have something that impedes you from going to school, or that impedes you from doing what you want to do. And that's fine. Nobody can judge you for it. Nobody can tell you otherwise. Like nobody has been in your shoes. You know what I mean? But the one thing that you don't want is for you yourself to be the reason why you don't get your shit done. Like do everything in your power. The rest is out of your control. There's nothing you can do about it. You know what I mean? I've learned to just take shit as it comes. Like everyone's been through shit in life. Like Kaylee's been through shit in life. I've been through shit in life. You know what I mean? And I kind of just learned to take shit as it comes, but do everything in your power to make sure that you have no regrets. You know, like I don't have many regrets in life, but you know, it's something that I work for, like to make sure that I don't have regrets in life. Because I'm telling you, like you don't want to look back and say, I could have had this life, I could have done this, I could have done that. One of the reasons why I don't know if I think I told you this before, but one of the reasons why I was more convinced of like I have to do something with my life, because I've had people come up to me at the gym. Like I'm very friendly with everybody at the gym, so a lot of people know me, and people tell me like, oh, like you know, like you have a lot of potential, like to do this, to do that. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, yeah, like thank you. But in reality, I was stuck in the same spot. The same thing. I had an employee, Maria. She told me, she was like, I don't see you being. Like she's like, why are you a gym manager? And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, yeah, like, why are you a gym manager? And she's like, I could see you doing like so many other things. Like, why are you a gym manager? And that fucking hit. Like, you have no idea. I almost like cried, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was like, what? You had an epiphany. Yeah, I was like, yeah, I was just like, what the fuck? I literally almost quit. Right, I was like, you know what? You're right. I almost took off my shirt, and I was like, you're absolutely right. No, but like that literally hit so hard because I was like, I don't want to fucking live a life where I was like, I had so much potential, or like for Kaylee to like at my fucking funeral to be like, he had so much potential, but he was just a gym manager. Like, what? That's not the life I want to fucking live. You know what I mean? So don't be afraid. Carve your own path. Try things out, but just make sure you're not the reason why you don't get your shit done. You know what I mean? Let me make sure it's still recording.
We're making sure it's still recording.
I was just gonna cut it out, but since you mentioned that, then I guess we'll just.
We're making sure it's still recording. Cool. My phone too?
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, so I was just gonna cut that part out, but as Kaylee mentioned, I am making sure that everything's recording because we don't want to have to do a third take. I'm sorry. So Kaylee, tell us a little bit more about yourself. Talk to the people.
Let me tell you guys.
Sorry, I don't know how many people are going to see this, or if you're going to tell anybody to see this, so just be mindful.
Let me just start off by saying this. He always interrupts me. Like, always. It's not even funny. Like, I'm talking to him, and it's just, like, blank. I know he's not paying attention to me, and I'm telling him, like, oh, like, hey, like, we have to do this, and this today. He's like, did I bring my lunch today? And I'm just like, okay, sorry. I just had to get that off my chest. But I want to do a lot of things with my life. Like, my biggest fear, one, is to die. I don't want to die. I really don't want to die. I don't know what it is, but I have like this fear of dying, and I fear even more dying and like have lived a boring life. Like, I do not want a boring life, and I want to do so many things. Like, I wanted to be a phlebotomist. Like, I want to be a vet, but I don't think I can be a vet just because I love animals so much. I have so many animals. I have 2 geckos, a turtle, an iguana, a dog, and a snail.
May I interrupt?
Sure.
Sorry, long story. Quick interruption. Long story short, she asked me to take care of her geckos one time, and I completely lost them in my house, and I just could not find them. I took them out of their cage, and I guess I forgot to put the lid back in their little like tank, and I just lost them for like a whole day and a half, and I was just not gonna tell her, and she kept asking like if I had her geckos, and I was like, yeah, I just love spending time with them so much that I didn't want to give them back, but I had lost them in my house. Eventually I found them. All is well. You may continue.
Yeah, all is well. And I found it so funny because he asked me like, what would you do if I like just lost your geckos? And I was like, I'd be sad. Like, no, they're the cutest things. I can't go to Petco because I take an animal home. Like, I almost bought a frog yesterday because I feel so bad how they have them. But anyways, I started talking about my animals, and then I forgot.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I do interrupt her a lot. But like I had mentioned to you guys earlier, she's my manager now. So at work, you know, it's a whole different relationship that we have. Like, I love Kaylee to death. Like, I know Kaylee loves me to death. Like, we have a very, very good relationship, but I know she genuinely cannot stand me.
I can't. And it's just so, like, annoying. Because when he was my manager at first, like he said, like, it was that level of professionalism. Like, always, like, still at work, we always still have that. We don't act like how we act outside of work at work, especially just because we don't want the staff to think of us any different, I guess. Like, but when I first started working there, he was always like, I'd be like, oh, I'd ask him a question, and he's like, oh, what would you say? What was your thing? Like, too many questions or something like that? I would always ask you, I don't know, something along the lines of like, mind your own business. Like, I'm not going to tell you. And I'd be like, okay, whatever. Or he'd just be like, he'd be talking. He's like, oh, I can't tell you that. Like, I'm not going to tell you. And I'd be like, okay, whatever. Yeah. And then go. Like, he always interrupts me. Like, I told you.
Sorry, I just wanted to clarify to you guys to know what I was talking about. I'm sorry, to know what she was talking about. Because, like, I would be talking my mind, but I just felt comfortable talking to her. But as a manager, once again, I had to keep a level of professionalism. So I would catch myself about to say something that I shouldn't be saying as a manager, and I would be like, never mind, I forget that I'm a manager. And then we just completely disregard it, and I changed the topic for
Yeah.
that same reason. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
and then
Sorry.
once I got promoted to manager, then he became like a little bit more like loose with me, I guess. And I feel like that's when we actually started becoming like really good friends, like inside of work and outside of work as well. But yeah, no, it's the most stressful thing ever to work with him. But it's fine because now he doesn't work that much, so it's a little bit of a stress reliever. But I still call him all the time, like on my days off, like, hey, how do you do this or how do you do that? Just because nobody ever trained me on how to be a GM. I'm just kind of like figuring it out on my own, and you really can't tell me otherwise.
Well, no, that's not true. I did show you a lot of things, but there were other stuff that I was never taught myself. And at that point, I had been in the job like way too long to
To
ask
ask.
how to get it done. So you just gotta fake it till you make it. Not to toot my own horn. I was very good at my job in the sense that like I had like the staff respected me. Everything would get done. You know what I mean? But people didn't know how many things like I would forget or how many things I didn't know what to do. But it wasn't because I didn't take my job seriously or because I was just a bad manager. I just, I it was just things that I never learned or things that I would just genuinely forget. I'm just very forgetful, which is why I would have a notebook. I still have this giant notebook that like I have everything written down in because once again, I am a good manager. I
And a
was a good
hoarder.
manager. I'm sorry?
And a hoarder.
I am a hoarder, but that's a different topic. But anyway, so you have to fake it till you make it. Here's another thing that I've heard once, and I actually heard this from my roommate, but I believe that he heard it from somebody else. I completely lost my train of thought. Sorry, guys. Quick interruption. So I actually regained my thought, and I remembered what I wanted to tell you guys. So I wanted you guys to hear this. What I had heard and what I wanted to share with you guys is that you can fake it till you make it, but as you're faking it, make sure you are working to close the gap between faking it and what is real. So don't just be comfortable faking it forever and ever. Make sure that while you're still faking it, you make it a reality and you actually get to a level to where you know what you're doing. Does that make sense? Thank you for your time. What were we talking about?
I'm just gonna talk about me because then I never talked about me, and then I just started talking about my animals, and then I forgot. But we were talking about me. If it wasn't for my parents, I'm pretty sure I would not be where I am. Like, especially because when my parents weren't together when I was little, so when they got back together, I was like the most rebellious little kid ever. Like, I was doing stuff that I should not have been doing at like 12 years old. And I feel like that's why I've always been around older people. Like, all my cousins are older than me. So I've always been around them. And I feel like that's why I kind of am like older, like mentally wise, I guess. But without my parents like always pushing me, like I don't feel like I would be where I am today. And like the sense of like, I feel like I've done pretty well for myself being 19. But with that being said, I feel like I have imposter syndrome. Like, I feel like I don't deserve anything that I have or anything that I've worked for. Like, at work, I feel like I didn't earn my position when I know that I worked hard for it. Like, at school, like, I feel like, I don't know, like, I feel like I'm not doing well enough. Like, I'll never be good enough. And, like, at home, like, I feel like I'm thankfully, like, really grateful to have, like, a house. I have a whole house to myself. I have a front yard, and that's where I'm able to keep, like, all of my animals and stuff. And I know a lot of people aren't as fortunate as me, and I feel like I just feel like I don't deserve it. So I feel like I stop myself from doing a lot because I feel like I can do so much more, but I just don't feel like I deserve it. I don't know if you've ever felt like that, but I feel like a lot of people do deal with it, especially because like when I give it like during the pandemic, during the like the panoramic is what I call it. When I was 16 when the pandemic started, and it was just crazy to me, like being at home like by myself. Like I was getting so depressed. Like I was like, no, like I was just trapped in my house, and I was getting so like literally so depressed. In my senior year of high school, it was online, so I would roll over, open my laptop, go to sleep, connect to class, go to sleep. Then my class would end, and then I would do that every single day and then roll over and I'd stay in bed, and I was getting so depressed. And I applied to so many UCs and I got accepted to so many. But since my senior year of high school, I did like bad. I got accepted to UC San Diego, and then my senior year, since I did bad, I like my acceptance got revoked. And then once I turned in my final grades, they were like, okay, like JK, like you can still come if you want to. And then I was like, oh, okay, but that kind of hit me really hard too. And I was like, no, I don't even deserve to go to UC San Diego. And that's why I ended up going to community. Well, one, because it saved me a lot of money, and two, because I was like, there's no, like, I don't deserve to go there. I don't deserve to go to like such a, like to a UC school. So I feel like I stopped myself, because if I was to go to San Diego, like I don't even know what my life would be, what I would be doing right now. And I feel like that's such a big problem that I have, that I do things that I know that I should be proud of myself for, but I'm just like, you don't deserve it. Like, it's okay. Like, it's the bare minimum, which I feel like a lot of people suffer with that too.
Sorry, for the people that don't know what imposter syndrome is, do you mind just elaborating?
It's just basically what I said. Like, you feel like you're living a different life, like a life that you don't deserve. Like, if I'm an imposter, like, well, for me, I'm Hispanic, so I feel like I'm living like a prestigious
life.
Yeah.
Okay.
That I don't deserve, that I don't necessarily have. It's kind of just like you're living in somebody else's life, but it's your own life.
Yeah. So it's, I know, like I said, everybody goes through shit. Like, everybody has different things to overcome. You know what I mean? And that's one thing that Kaylee is learning to overcoming.
Yeah, let's just say that. Overcoming.
You know what I mean? But yeah, like, trust me, like, if you feel something like that, if you feel anything else that you feel like you're not alone. It's okay to go through emotions. Like, we're all human. It's okay to feel what you feel. Like, you have the right to feel whatever it is that you feel. Sorry, side note. Every once in a while, like, she just reminds me of like our age difference, and it just absolutely blows my mind. Like, she was like, I was 16 when the pandemic started, and I was like, I don't even remember when I was like 16. The most mind-blowing thing that she's ever told me is when I told her, she asked me, what year did you graduate high school? And I was like, 2015. And what did you tell me, Kaylee?
I was in the 5th grade.
She was like, I was in 5th grade, and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, how is this real? Like it just blows my mind, like, how I'm not old, but like how old I am, and like how young people are. Like, someone born in like 2005.
19.
Oh, well, yeah.
Well,
some people are born in 2019. But you see what I mean? Like,
I was like, okay, like 2005, sure.
Like, if someone's like born in 2005, I'm just like, okay, like, you're 6 years old, and they're fucking 17, about to turn 18. Like, what? That should not be legal. Like, that should not be fucking legal. But going back to Kaylee, the reason why I brought her on here is because Kaylee tells me things that I need to hear. Kaylee says things the way they are. You know what I mean? Kaylee doesn't sugarcoat things, and Kaylee's a very direct person. Like, you can, I guess some people can perceive that as like rude, but trust me, she's not rude. I know the people that are just like, oh, I'm just straightforward. It's like, no, you're just a bitch. Like, you're just a very rude person.
Rude, yeah.
Yeah, but no, like, having someone that tells things the way they are is actually very good for you. Like, you want to surround yourself with people that are gonna tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. You know, you don't want to surround yourself with people that aren't gonna help you grow. Like, the reason why me and Kaylee clash heads a lot is because we see things through different perspective. Like, if we agreed on everything, like, we probably would not be beneficial to each other in any way. You know what I mean? We'd have a lot of laughs, but we would not be beneficial to each other in any way. We clash heads because she gets frustrated with me because she knows a lot of things that I say I'm gonna do, I don't do, or, you know, sometimes I'm all talk. So surround yourself with people that are beneficial to you, with people that are gonna help you grow. I was listening to a podcast where someone was interviewing Mr. Beast. Do you know Mr. Beast?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So a lot of you, or however many of you are watching this, I don't know how you came across this, but Mr. Beast is a YouTuber for those who don't know, and he just does very, very funny, like fun videos. Like they're the most random videos you're ever gonna find in your life. Like he had one where he's like, "Can you stop a cannonball with magnets?" Like, who even fucking who thinks about that? Like, who? First of all, who has the means to do that? And second of all, who in their right mind was like, "Yes, this is what the people need to see." You know what I mean? But anyways, like Mr. Beast, like the reason I came across him like randomly was because, I had just finished watching Squid Games. Did you watch Squid Games?
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of Squid Games?
I didn't like it. I did. I like liked it in the beginning because everybody was like raving about it, and I was like, sure, I'll give it a chance. But like towards like the last couple episodes, it was boring, and then the ending was just like so shitty. So I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was an interesting concept, but it was very predictable. Like you already knew who was gonna win.
Yeah.
Like there was only one main character. Like you know who's gonna fucking win.
Yes.
It had some good moments, like when, like some emotional moments, like when Ali got killed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first of all, fuck Sang-woo. I've been saying this for like a year and a half. Like fuck Sang-woo. Like Sang-woo's fake as fuck. I'm still not over it. But the ending sucked. Like the ending just absolutely sucked. But anyways, going back to the whole Mr. Beast thing. So he did a real life Squid Games. He didn't kill anybody. He was legally not allowed to kill anybody. But he did have people like eliminated. And I was just like, this is crazy. Like this is really cool, you know? But he gave away like the exact amount of money that the exact amount of money that they gave away in the show. Like he literally gave away somebody like $500,000. And I was like, who the hell is this guy that has just $500,000 to just give away? You know what I mean? And I started watching his videos, and he has like really random videos. Like he put 100 people in a circle, and it was literally like the last person to leave a circle just wins like a fucking $1 million, you know? And it's just insane. And so I honestly thought, I was like, this is just like a privilege. He's white. I was like, he's just a privileged white guy who just has money to blow, has too much time on his hand. You know what I mean? But the more I learned about him, the more I learned about the way he thinks, I just gained so much respect for him. And I just been watching interviews of him because he says some really, really like amazing things, like very, very helpful things. He's a YouTuber. He's one of the, like, he's a very, very successful YouTuber. And he makes millions of dollars every month, but he doesn't live in luxury. He doesn't own a fancy car. He doesn't own a fancy house. He doesn't, he's just an average person, and he's a genuinely nice person. And one of the things that he said is that he surrounds himself with people that tell him what he needs to hear. You know what I mean? Like he all of his friends that work with him, they criticize his stuff. He's so set on perfecting his craft because he's been obsessing over creating YouTube content since he was 11. And it's just fascinating stuff. And he said part of the reason why he was able to grow so much is because he surrounds himself with people that are willing to tell him what he needs to hear. So, you know, you don't necessarily become like who your friends are, but you do grow depending on who your friends are. You know what I mean? I know Kaylee over here has like two friends, like two people who she genuinely considers her friends, right? Two?
Yeah, three. I literally only have three, and I've been friends with them since middle school. Like, and I don't have any other, and I've tried, guys, like, trust me, I've tried to have like other friends to hang out with, like other girls, and like, I just can't, like, it's just like, we hang out for like a week, or we talk for like a week, and then I'm just like, no, like, I'm sorry, it's just not a good friendship, I guess.
Yeah. So don't be afraid to cut people off. Like if you outgrow somebody, like cut them off. Just like if you outgrow your job, like we said, cut it off. So if you outgrow your relationship, like cut it off. Like fuck that hoe, like fuck that bitch, like fuck whoever, you know, like it at the end of the day, it's your story, it's your life. So do things based off of what it is that you need to do. Like, you know, it's okay to outgrow people. Like there's people that like I've outgrown. I got no hate towards them, no resentment towards anybody. I got no bad blood with anybody. You just outgrow them, you know what I mean? And it's just crazy. Like if you sit down and you look at every year in your life that you've had, you probably were hanging out with different people. You might have the same three friends, but like you might have, like this year, like, or last year, sorry, in 2022, like Kaylee was hanging out with me, and it's like, who would have thought, like, the year before that she would be hanging out with a fucking 25 year old at the time, So, um, and you could just learn so much from people. You know what I mean? Like, surround yourself with people that have similar goals to you, like similar. I'm sorry, not similar goals, but similar mentality, like similar work ethic. Like, you never know who you're gonna hear valuable things from. You know what I mean? Like I mentioned, like you earlier, I said the expression like you don't feel your own handshake, and I heard that just by hearing like a random interview of an actor. You know what I mean? And it's like you don't, and that what that means is you don't necessarily know how people perceive you. Like you don't feel your own energy. You know what I mean? So just surround yourself. I'm sorry, this is being repetitive, but just surround yourself with people that have this similar mindset, people that allow you to grow. It's fun to pick people's brains. Like if you have a conversation with everybody, like if you find the time, like have a conversation with somebody for like an hour, and it's just fascinating. Like at work, I do this all the time. I am doing something with somebody, and I randomly will tell them like, tell me something about yourself, and they at first they're just like, what do you mean? Like, what do you want to know? And I'm like, just tell me something about yourself. And it's just so funny to see, like, sometimes people will tell me, like, oh, well, I don't know, like, my big toe is bigger on my right foot than my left foot. And it's like, okay, cool, interesting, Or some people will tell you, like, yeah, I killed a man once. And I'm just like, okay, like, well, shit, But it just kind of gives you an idea of, like, how people think. You know what I mean? I just find people fascinating, but I'm going on a rant, and I'm also going to go check and make sure that everything is still recording. We interrupt this programming to bring you a word from our sponsor. I'm just kidding. We don't have a sponsor yet. This is our first episode, so.
Sorry for the interruption, guys. But going back to what he said earlier about, what did you say earlier? I completely forgot what we were going to talk about.
About how there's a difference between like being rude and being upfront, like being straight up in what you say, and being like just a bitch.
Yeah, I feel like where you go in life also has a lot to do with your personality. Like I know Luis has told me many times that I'm like a pushover. Like I care way too hard, not necessarily about what people think, but I care way too hard because I don't like to hurt people's feelings. But sometimes I have to, in the sense of like I have to stick up for myself. So I feel like your personality also takes you a long way. Like if you're not an approachable person, like nobody's going to want to approach you. And just like how he said that you have to surround yourself with people that make you want to grow. Like you also have to be that person for other people, because if not, you're going to stay stuck in what you're doing. Because if you're not approachable, nobody's going to approach you, and you're not going to meet anybody that's going to benefit you. Because in this life, it's like, you go places because of the people that you know, and like not necessarily like you can also make a name for yourself, but nobody ever does anything like alone. You need help. So if you go out to talk to people, like for like in our experience, like we work at a gym, so we see like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people a day, and like for every one of those hundreds and hundreds of people, it's always like you welcome them with a smile. You make connections with people because you see them so often that it's like the more people that you know. Because I know Luis here, he wants to be an actor, and if you just have a conversation, like I didn't know there was so many actors like that come into the gym, and I'm like, oh, like what are you doing? They're like, oh, I'm an actor. And then I'm like, oh, well, you know what? My friend wants to be an actor. Like, can I like give you his phone number so that you can give him some tips or things like that? It's all about the things that you do and the people that you know. So if you have a really shitty personality, you're just like a straight up bitch, like nobody's gonna want to talk to you. So how you how you go about yourself is also really important for you to get to the places where you want to be. Because we all do a lot of things that we don't want to do necessarily, or like put up with things that we don't want to put up with. But at the end of the day, it's like if you respect yourself, you gain the respect of others, because you don't gain respect if you don't give respect.
Yeah, one valuable thing that I've learned in life is do not be afraid to admit when you are the problem. Like a lot of people are very prideful, and it's like, okay, well, I know I'm wrong, but I don't want to look like I'm wrong, or I don't want to, I don't want to look like the bad person. It's like, fuck all that. Like if you really want to grow, like grow. Like admit when you're the problem and work from it. You know what I mean? Don't just be like, oh, I'm the problem. Okay, like, no, I'm good. Like, I can go back to doing what I want. It's like, no, like, fucking change from it. Like, Kaylee knows, like, I've told Kaylee pretty much like my life story. Like, Kaylee knows, like, I've been in relationships where I was in a toxic relationship and my partner at the time was toxic, but there was also a relationship that I was in that I was toxic, and I didn't realize at the time that I was being toxic because you justify yourself. Like, I didn't abuse her or anything like that. Like, it wasn't to that level, but I still had very toxic tendencies in that relationship, and I didn't realize at the time because I would always justify it to myself. You know what I mean? I was like, no, I'm this way because, like, I really care about her, because I really love her, and that's not true. Like, she ended up leaving me, and I didn't know why. Um, but then years down, or like sometime after, like, I realized why, and that allowed me to grow. That has allowed me to be different in my relationships, like the way I treat people, the way I treat, like, I've treated like my partners after that, the way I treat my current girlfriend. I make sure to grow from it. Like, I had an argument with my roommate the other day, and I didn't well, it wasn't like an argument. It was just a disagreement, and he told me, like, oh, this is how I feel for this and that, and I realized, like, okay, there's a lot of things that I could be doing differently, like, for that specific situation. So I told him, I was like, I apologize. Like, I didn't realize, like, you felt this way or felt that way. You know what I mean? Like, don't be afraid to apologize. Like, don't be afraid to grow from things. And then just going back to what she said, like, the connections that you make in life, like, are incredible. Like, they're absolutely incredible. Like, my roommate, I'm literally living with this motherfucker. Like, I'm living with this guy right now, and the only reason I knew him, I don't know if we ever told you how we met, but it was because he was a member at the old gym that I used to work at, and he was taking a session with one of the trainers, and then I was a trainer as well, and so basically the trainer just asked me, like, how I did this one stretch that I used to do, and then from there I just started talking to him, just a random person that I've never met in my life, about, like, how to stretch this, how to stretch that, just like different stretches, because he wanted to learn. And like 4 years later, like, I'm living with the guy, you know what I mean? And, like, we've helped each other so much along the way. So just reach out to people, you know what I mean? Like, reach out to people. Like, I met Kaylee through the gym. Like, my current girlfriend, sorry ladies, I'm not single, but my current girlfriend, I met her at the gym, you know what I mean? Like, my closest friends I've met at the gym, and not everybody works at a gym, but, like, I've met people, like, I didn't know who I was meeting at the time. Like, I play a lot of soccer. I've met amazing people playing soccer, you know what I mean? People that I had no idea who they were, but it turns out, like, they have a lot to offer you. You know what I mean? So just make connections, and not offer you in terms of, like, you can take advantage of them, but, like, in the sense of, like, that they'll just change your perspective. Real quick, not to go on a rant, but I was talking about how you never know who you're gonna hear something valuable from. I used to be very self conscious, like, being on camera, and, like, I want to be an actor. So how does that make sense? You know what I mean? But I heard from one guy. Do you remember Sam? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Shout out to Sam if you ever come across this. I think he's in Indiana, so I don't know if he's ever gonna come across it.
We miss you, Sam.
Yeah, we miss you, Sam. Please come back. But we anyway, so he wasn't even talking to me. He was having a conversation with somebody else, and I just happened to be in the break room at the time. And he was talking to my roommate, actually, and my roommate was just, like, showing him, like, a headshot that he just took. And he was like, but I don't like this, but I don't like that. And Sam, he said, what did he say? He was like, he's like, at one point, you're going to come to terms with the fact that that's what you look like, that that's just your face, and you're going to accept it. And they continue with their conversation, and I just happened to be there, and that just stuck with me. It wasn't even some inspirational stuff. It wasn't even anything motivational. It was just what he said, and that made me just realize, like, you know what? That's true. Like, that's just my face. Like, how am I gonna be an actor? How am I gonna start this show? Like, how am I gonna be in front of a camera if I'm self-conscious? Like, what am I gonna do? Like, cover my face? You know what I mean? So, once again, like, you never know who you're gonna hear something valuable from that just sticks with you. You know, and speaking of sticking, thank you for sticking with us throughout this whole time. Kaylee, anything else that you want to add for the good people?
Yes. If you're not happy anywhere, at your job, fuck your manager. In your relationship, fuck your relationship. Just do whatever makes you happy, because as a manager, Your manager does not get paid enough to be fucking yelling at you and treating you like shit. Trust me. They're doing it just because they're a horrible person. Quit.
Yes, just quit. Yeah, like she said, quit your job, quit your friendships, quit your relationships, quit your bad tendencies. Just quit everything. Quit smoking if you smoke. If you smoke cigarettes, quit smoking.
Cigarettes, yes. Fuck cigarettes.
Yeah, cigarettes kill you.
They'll be fucking nasty.
All right, well, thank you guys for joining us, and thank you for staying with us through the technical difficulties.
Should we high five?
We should high five. That was solid. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in.